The violence against U.S. embassies in the Middle East and North Africa is raising questions about the U.S. mission in the region and the safety of our diplomats and military personnel. And joining me now, Michael Leiter, former director of the National Counterterrorism Center and an NBC News terrorism expert. Michael, first of all, al-Qaeda groups are taking responsibility for some of the actions that took place. How organized was this? We have the situation in Cairo, and as Richard Engel was reporting, the situation in Benghazi could be separately motivated. One could be more organized.
I don't think we should conflate the two, even though the timing is obviously very similar. And I would also say that first reports on these things are almost always wrong. There is a significant team trying to figure out what happened now. Ultimately, the FBI will do an investigation of this. But I think it is fair to say, although the movie that was released might have had something to do with this, it is also possible that this was a more organized and planned al-Qaeda attack against the ambassador and his staff.
Typically, what kind of security does the U.S. ambassador have, and do consulates and embassies have?
Quite significant. An ambassador will travel with diplomatic security personnel, usually in armed vehicles.
These are the bodyguards. They're the State Department's equivalent of the Secret Service.
Absolutely. The same people that protect Secretary Clinton, and they'll travel in armed vehicles any place where there's any sort of threat, certainly in Benghazi. But ultimately, these are still very, very dangerous places to serve. And this is not like a large U.S. military convoy. The very point is to be open and engage, as this ambassador did so well. And they obviously run this risk, and this is an unbelievable tragedy.
After the embassy bombings in Kenya and in Tanzania, embassies were redesigned, and most of them were set back from major thoroughfares. They were put behind big walls. We know how ugly and under guard the Baghdad embassy is, the biggest of them all. This complex in Benghazi, are you familiar with it?
I'm not, but consulates, not in the capital, but in other cities in countries, are often less protected, and that appears to be the case here. And really, although you have to have that setback for attacks, it's obviously important for the security of U.S. personnel. I think what this ambassador was trying to do in places like Benghazi, and both before the uprising and after, was engage the people.
He was active in social media. We have video of him interacting with people, and this goes back to his Peace Corps roots in Morocco in 1983.
Absolutely, and it's why it's ever more tragic. This is one of the Americans who had the biggest hand in helping unseat Gaddafi and support the rebels. And now to meet this fate, I very much hope that it doesn't disrupt what needs to be a very close partnership between the government of Libya, the Libyan people, and the United States.
My colleague, Michael Leiter, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back.